Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's study session. We are going to be working from the small blind, defending against opens, 100 big blinds deep. And this is the part of the game where we need to be aggressive. As you can see, we're going to look at all of these spots, but we'll start off against the button. When the button opens, we have a response that is primarily going to be a three bet response. It's going to be almost 50-50 with calls. But the notion that we want to get in our head is that hands that we want to play heads up, we want the button to not call, or we want the big blind to not really be incentivized to call. So the hands that we want to call are our best suited hands and some suited gappers, small pairs that can set mine, and some stuff in the offsuit branch. This is going to become even more clear as we move through the different positions. So when we look at the cutoff raising and the small blind defending, you can now see it much more clearly where the small pairs are still calling. Our best suited aces and suited kings want to do a lot of calling. Some suited stuff at the bottom wants to call, including our suited gappers, but our suited connectors primarily want to raise because they don't want to get coolered by the big blind when we call with 7-6, by the big blind calling with Jack 3 suited, which is what's going to happen when we call here a lot. So our suited connectors, which realize their equity really strongly against an open, are going to want to 3-bet. Some of our suited aces are going to want to 3-bet. And all of this wants to 3-bet, mixing with all of our offsuit broadways as well. As we move into earlier and earlier position, we're going to see these offsuits drop out. As they're starting to drop out, they become lower and lower EV against the slightly tighter and tighter ranges. Now that we're kind of outside of the two steel ranges, we see more flatting with aces and kings that are suited, more flatting with the gapped cards, still primarily 3-betting with the suited connectors all the way along the line, still primarily 3-betting with all the suited broadways, and we're starting to mix in folds with our offsuit broadways. Against the three early positions, our strategy is going to change and we're going to become much more cautious on this side. Being a little more raise fold friendly. And our strategy has now changed where we are calling twice as often as we are raising. Against the first three positions, their range composition is just going to be very tight, and it's going to want us to raise less and less and less. So we'll do two different kind of parts to the study today. We'll play against the early position where we're going to be doing a lot more calling, and we'll play against the later positions where we're going to be doing a lot more raising. As you can see, calling lots of suited aces, lots of suited kings, some suited eights, suited gappers, still 3-betting the suited connectors, and still 3-betting pretty much all of the suited broadways and our best offsuit broadways only. As we move to the earlier and earlier position, we will just see a little bit more of that. More and more stuff starting to fold here. Ace 10 folding, King Jack folding, right? Ace Jack and King Queen becoming the hands that play. Starting to lose a huge swath of this. Our suited gappers are no longer in here against the earliest positions at full frequency. Our suited connectors are starting to raise a little bit less. Our pairs are starting to raise a little bit less. Our suited broadways are still pretty resilient and are still primarily raising and raising for value, even against these tight ranges. Just 100 big blinds deep, there's still going to be lots of playability. And our best hands do want to play slightly bigger pots. And against the very best position, of course, the tightest position at the table, we are almost 3-1 in calls to raises. And now we start to see the suited tens really struggling to find raises here. The suited connectors are very minimal raising, 6-5 being the most. Just having some board coverage, ace-5 and ace-4, more traditional bluffs that we find. And ace-jack and king-queen off are just flatting here primarily. So again, we are 3-betting lots of different parts of our combos, but mostly flatting here. So we'll go into Wizard and we'll do 2 sessions of study. One against the first 3 positions where we're going to be primarily calling, and one against the next 3 primary positions where we're primarily going to be raising. All right, now queen 7 off. Did that make it into our calling range, or is that a little too wide? Does anyone remember?
Ugly.
I think it's a fold.
Fold, yeah.
Ugly.
Little too. We'll do 1 or 2 more, and then we'll take a look at the range again and give everyone an idea. Oh, perfect. We get queen 10, just a little better. Call or 3-bet? And if so, how often?
I think it's going to be very low frequency 3-bet, probably primarily call.
I
Okay,
agree
so
with
about
call.
11%.
I don't know the exact number, but probably less than a third.
Yeah, 19%. So this is a good spot. We'll take a look at the difference between queen 7 suited and queen 10 suited, because that's probably going to be in the line between call and not call, somewhere about queen 8, queen 9.
Yeah, I think queen 8 because I think you're worst under the gun. Queen open is queen 9.
So yeah, we can see our suited 7s struggle to get in. Our suited 9s comfortably get in. And queen 10, all the suited broadways, even against the early 2 positions, are still primarily 3-betting. Queen 10 is the least of all the combos that wants the 3-bet here. All right. Oh yeah, sometimes we have to play post flop. Tough game. All right, king high flop we've called. I don't see any reason to do anything but check here. And we face a small bet with a gut shot. Fold, call, or raise.
I just call, but
Yeah, I think this is primarily a call out of position. We would probably,
if we had a diamond, would it help? Is that what helps here?
if we had
Yes.
hearts, I think if we had hearts, we would be more inclined to raise because you push equity out of position.
Okay.
So I think this
So-
would be primarily a call.
Yeah, I think hearts I would probably call a lot.
Or spades, sorry. Spades.
Spades I would
That's what I meant.
raise, and with 1 spade I would also be inclined to raise. And with this one, I'm also inclined to raise because it's just fine if he 3-bets and we fold here. But we'll take a look at the whole range and see what all these queen 10s are going to do. Primarily calling. Not getting after it too much, but if you do get after it, you pick a bigger sizing with your raise. So we'll take a look on this king and 9 deuce board. So the deuce is very disconnected. So it's not going to play into it. So it's really like we're playing a 2-card board here. And of the queen 10s, queen 10 with a spade with spades is raising. Queen 10 with hearts is raising. These queen tens are mostly just calling. There's a little bit of raising. On the offsuit side, if you have a spade, you are primarily raising the 10 of spades or the queen of spades with this gut shot. And these ones are primarily calling without a spade. So you can see deep stacked, the risk of 100 big blinds and a spade run out is a real thing here. And so the flush is going to drive the bus of equity here more so than the straight. Right? You can see in this block here, the queen jack, queen 10, and jack 10 are all kind of the same draw, and they all want to get after it a little bit. But the overriding factor with all of these hands is having a spade or having a flush draw. Right? And the backdoor heart draw is sometimes good enough. Lots of times it's happy to call. But spades is always check raising. Almost high frequency check raise. All right, so we do get a call and we get a little brick. I can't see us leading here ever. And we get a double barrel and he sizes up. Is it time to check out?
I do, but am I making a mistake?
No, I think that-
way.
No, I think it's a pure fold now.
Good.
Pure fold. Excellent decision.
You know why I question myself all the time? I do that a lot. I make the decisions, I think a lot right, but sometimes you guys show me stuff and I'm like, there's no way, but I'm completely wrong. So now I question myself a lot, but I kind of think I mostly do the right thing.
If the game was easy, everyone would do it and no one
Yeah,
would
no,
study.
exactly.
All right, king jack. Call or raise? If so, how often?
I don't think this is ever a raise, and I actually think this folds a little bit.
Okay.
Because I think some of our offsuit broadways start folding against the
Yeah.
under the gun opens. So I wouldn't be surprised if this folds a little, but I think it's going to be mostly a call.
Let's take a peek. Exactly. It starts to fold a little bit, but mostly a call.
Hmm.
So we'll play it as a call today just because we love to get in trouble. And look at this delicious 2 overs and a gut shot. Oh, my fingers are getting itchy. There's no flush draw to rule the roost. Well, now we've improved to a strong hand with a gut shot.
I think we can bet a third here.
Okay, there is some completed equity. Third seems pretty reasonable, but I mean, what about a little bit bigger?
I think anything half or smaller is going to be fine. I think it's probably all going to be about the same, honestly. Like,
Okay. You are right. You can bet all of these sizings. The primary motion is to bet, even though there is 17% check, means there's 83% betting. And the 1/3 pot size is the one of choice. But you can see it's very much split amongst these three as the primary sizing. So any decision you make here is not wrong.
yeah,
All
and
right.
that's mostly because the undergun player should be betting that flop like a ton. So the range there is kind of.
So very dangerous river. Our opponent has lots of queens there that they're hanging on with on that turn, because we didn't bet very big.
Do you think we have to bet? I'm assuming this is a block, but I don't know how big we would go.
Yeah, I think it's a block. I think bet 3 is right.
Block, yeah, I mean, I'm torn between 3 and half.
Huh?
I don't know if our hand's quite good enough to bet that big.
So let's think of both scenarios. If we bet this size and get raised, and if we bet this size and get raised, what are our responses going to be?
That one you could call, that one you have to fold.
I think they're both folds to a raise.
Really?
I'm not sure about the small bet raise. I'm pretty sure it's a pure fold if they raise big. If we bet bigger because their raise size is gonna probably primarily be bigger.
Okay, so you're going to 100% fold top two pair to a raise on the river.
If we bet bigger and they raise, because my
Okay.
expectation is when we bet bigger, they're going to call. When we bet bigger, they're going to call with all their worst hands and bet all their better hands. Whereas if we bet small, they're sometimes going to bet worse for value.
I check call.
Checking top two pair. Are you sure, Slade?
Yeah.
All right, let's take a look. We've tortured you guys long enough. It
Oh,
is
shit.
betting, right? You can definitely get called by worse here a lot. The EV of checking is pretty competitive, but it's just not a big part of this strategy. With top two, we just need to get value because we can get called by lots that's worse. But it is interesting. We will study this spot and see what the response. Oh, look at
Shoot.
that.
Yeah.
We bet little and he just slams it in our face. 2.5 pots. Let's go. Okay.
Let's go into the muck. We have a ton of queens here. We should have a ton of queens in our checking in our small bet range that protect us here. So we should not need to ever call here.
Okay, Reiner, you got something to add?
Just that I'm just curious to see with us getting some thin value here with two pair, because like you said, we can get called by worse.
Mhm.
Worse can also get turned into a bluff. And so I'm curious to see what our opponent has as bluffs like 10-9 or something like that, which turns into a bluff where we see this.
I think our opponent's going to have a lot of hearts that are bluffing here.
As
Right.
yeah, as well. Yeah, for sure. But
The ace of hearts is going to be a really big bluff card, and the 8 of hearts is going to be a really big bluff.
I am curious to see what you do with 10-9, Jack-9, that kind of thing. But I guess like it's all the ranges too, right? So okay.
Yeah, let's take a look. This is a good spot to explore because this is a tough in-game decision. So first of all, our strategy on this river is going to be half of the time to check, betting small and medium only, right? We really don't have big bets here. And our straights are going to be mixing both sizes, small and medium, and checks, all in roughly in 1/3 proportions. All of our sets are going to be betting big because they can get called by worse. All of our two pairs are going to be betting small because they can get called by worse. The exception, of course, is King Jack, which really wants to, it's the best two pair. So it sizes up. Second pair, third pair, primarily check. It turns a bottom pair. So if you have a 5 here into a bluff, or 3s and 2s, they get turned into a bluff. A couple of ace highs, your worst ones, ace deuce. So I assume those will be bricked flush draws. This, and then some trash just will also check or bet. When we bet this size, our opponent's response is going to be fold 20%, call a ton, have some small raises, and then have some blasts. The straight is going to mix all 3 raise sizes, but is going to be very heavy on this 24 big blind size. Sets are going to call, 2 pairs are going to call. The over pair, so when they have aces, it is also going to sickly jam 95 big blinds on this river. Right? As well as some of the straights. Ace queen, the top straight, are also going to go for all the cookies because we're never folding a queen. So that's an important thing here. When there's a high probability of your opponent having the second nut, going for big value with the nuts is critically important, and you are missing out a ton if you don't take this 11 big blind pot to 100 with ace queen here. And of course, because it does that with ace queen, it does it with all of these ace blockers, and you can see they are all hearts that it uses the all-in sides with. So a little bit of ace high, and then a little bit of unmade hand also bluffs. So in the bucket that we're in, the 24 big blind bucket, we are going to see bluffs that contain an ace, super nuts, and top pair, top kicker, and over pair. So we are way behind or way ahead with our two pair and probably indifferent to calling. So our small blind, as you can see, we don't get to escape with a queen. We rejam with ace queen. So again, with us, when we have the top straight, make sure you go all the way into 100 big blinds. Ace jack calls. King jack looks like it's going to fold to that size.
Yeah, and the ace X makes some sense because you want to be blocking ace queen here, that to the bigger size.
Yep.
I think
So
this is
we
a
have-
spot where you would much rather have ace king or ace jack than king jack.
So we have enough straights that we don't have to call with the top two pair here. So, plug away. And he had ace queen, gave us the super noodle job. Ace seven, low jack. Is this getting in there or is this just a fold?
Or fold.
All right, good stuff. King 10 suited. Ooh, low jack, we're starting to get our raise on.
Yeah, I think this is a high frequency 3-bet.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
say 33%.
Yeah, I think this is probably, yeah, it seems fine. It seems like you could do either.
Oh yeah, 40-60, get your 3-bet on. The nice thing about it is when you find 3-bets this deep early in tournaments, it elevates your 3-bet percentage. So in a site like GG Poker, where it tracks what you do on one tournament, having an inflated 3-bet percent early kind of allows you to shelter yourself a little bit later in tournaments when ICM comes in. You don't have to worry about looking like a nit. We get an ace high flop out of 3-bet pots. Is
I
this
think
a
we-
check or bet?
I think we range bet with the ace. It's such a large part of our 3-betting range.
This is
I
a
think we,
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm just defaulting to going like quarter here, like 25%. Pretty
Yeah, I
much
think
with
that's-
pretty much with everything, although I'm sure there's going to be at least a little bit of checking. Yeah.
the motion is to bet here, and we are going to be betting a fairly high swath of our range. I think it's probably going to mix from every combo, but primarily betting them. Maybe not so much with clubs. Yeah, 20% checking.
Yeah.
Right. And a rough portion of everything.
Yeah,
that
it will
does
probably
check.
find some, yeah, I was gonna say probably your jacks, tens, queens probably find some like some
Yeah.
checks.
Your clubs here are going to be the ones that want to check the most, right? They're just going to struggle to realize equity 100 big blinds deep. All three of these ones have the ability to, if you turn the suit, bet again, right? Clubs, when you bet them, they're pretty much once and then giving up. And I mean, our opponent should defend against a quarter pot bet in position with every hand that doesn't contain two clubs. So we do get a nice bet, and our opponent folds pocket eights. Love it. Oh, just in time before he turns a set. Nice C bet. Ace five against low jack. Is this occasionally a bluff, or is this just a trap?
Fold. Fold, please.
Can't fool you. No fooling. All right, pocket sevens against under the gun.
I think the pure call. I don't think there's anything other here other than call.
I'd agree.
Okay, so you guys are never raising this. Never, ever, 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 ever.
Never. Yeah, your middle pairs don't raise against under the gun
Not at
in the
100.
small blind.
But-
Ever? Are you sure?
It looks like we're wrong. Here we go. I'm wrong again. I would never three bet that.
I would probably not be three betting anything
Set mine.
until like
set
tens,
mine.
probably, honestly.
Okay, I wouldn't say never because I am gonna three bet this at a very low frequency, like 8%. Nope, just a call. We'll take a quick peek at the range and make sure, see if it's maybe eights that it starts having a few three bets here. But it was a good call on the no three bets, and yeah, it starts at eights. So you got to find a few three bets with eights, nines, and tens. If you're in there three betting with sevens, you can see the EV difference is 0.01. It's a little frisky. So you don't need to three bet your sevens. But if you play against me and I three bet you, I might have sevens.
Good to know.
Okay. Eights. Well, that's good news. A tiny bit of leading here. And so let's take a look at why we lead in this spot. And so this is going to be a range comparison. We are going to push the equity of the amount of eights that we have against the amount of overpairs that our opponent has. And so when we look here, our opponent has the edge all the way through the graph until we get to the part of the graph that contains eights. So as we go up here in the area where you can see 8-6 versus pocket aces, king 8 versus pocket aces, this is the area where we have the ability to push our equity with full houses. When we have pocket twos against pocket aces, pocket twos against pocket kings. And so we have a very narrow window of these eights and these eights against our opponent who just has less of them. And so we push that equity just a tiny bit with a very small bet. It also saves us from them having a big bet size when we bet small here. But again, a small part of our strategy, doing it with a sliver of everything. But it goes check, check, and eights. Now, pocket pairs are now ruling the game. Who has more pocket pairs? Does our opponent check the big pocket pairs very often on this 8-8 deuce board? In game, do
Prob-
you ever check your big pocket pair?
Probably not. My guess is that like when it checks to him on a middle, on a like a paired board, he would probably bet small with a lot of those hands.
That's small with a lot of hands, but look at this. 60% checks with pocket aces on this board. Right? Significant checks with pocket kings, pocket queens, pocket jacks, pocket nines. Like almost 50-50 with pocket nines. Right? And even the small pairs are doing lots of checking here.
That's more checking than I thought you would do
Oh.
here. And is that just a function of the fact that we had sent so many eights for protecting against check raises? Is under the gun.
It's so a couple of things. When he bets with pocket aces here, it's hard for us to continue on this board with no flush draw. So it's hard for him to get value with pocket aces. And if he bets flop, turn, and river, it's not going to be really good for aces. Like he's earning 9 chips per 100 right now, but as the hand goes on and he bets and bets and bets, and we call and call and call, our range becomes more and more condensed, and his aces are going to start losing value here. So I have a feeling that we're going to see a polarized turn and a polarized river with these hands. So it goes check, check on the flop. An 8 comes out. So now it's quads or nothing when there's an 8. Because the third 8 came out, we have less 8s now. It's harder for us to have an 8 here. So the pair advantage goes up. We have something that is very middle of range. It really wants to check and let this opponent bluff their entire range. And our opponent bets. Do we raise? Or do we just call?
I
I think we
call.
call. If we raise, we're only fulling out bluffs. And if we call, we keep his bluffs in.
So we'll also notice this was the 8 of clubs. So there is no flush draw. So we didn't pick up any equity with any suited hands here. So it's gonna be hard for us to call. The same reason that it was hard for us to call when he bets with pocket aces on the flop. It's hard for us to call with a lot of hands on this turn. But pocket sevens, definitely a call. Occasionally a little bit of a click. We'll take a look at how the response changes when a different 8 comes on the turn. All right. So this is our opponent's strategy on this board. And you can see a polarized turn response. There's a little bit of betting small, a little bit of betting small, a bunch of betting medium, some betting medium big, and a bit betting big. Right? So still lots of small betting here on this 8. If we change this from the 8 of clubs to the 9 of spades, we now see a much different response where now all of this drops out and it's only big bets, medium and large bets. But again, still checking twice with 8s here, or with aces here a lot. Kings, queens, jacks, 10s, 9s, all betting the big size, and all occasionally having some of the 80% pot bets as well. But as played, we get a check and a call. 3 of spades on the river. Is this a card we want to lead? right? Probably not. We want to keep our opponent bluffing and betting value. So it checks. And our opponent just checks and has ace high.
We will, I would think that we would have, we could have some leads on that three, wouldn't we?
So when he bets the turn, he has hands that beat us, which are probably still going to bet. He actually has hands that are worse than us that are still going to bet. Right? So we'll take a look at his river strategy here. And we'll see how many hands that are worse than pocket sevens bet. Right? Versus how many hands that are going to be beat by pocket sevens call when we bet.
I'm not saying that we would lead sevens here ever. I'm just saying that like on the river, we would have some leads in general.
Let's take a peek. So we do. Pocket sevens are just never one of them. It does lead a bunch throughout the range.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because we're gonna have overpairs that are going to want to bet to get worse, to get worse pairs to call, and we will have some like fours, even some fours and threes that could occasionally get called by ace high.
So our opponent's strategy when we check is our opponent checks all his aces pretty much now and bets everything else.
Yeah.
Right? So it was a little unlucky that we didn't get some value here with our pocket sevens. But that's okay.
Yeah, sevens is a weird hand in that spot. I would have expected sevens to be one of the hands. I would have expected us to lead more, but sevens must just be kind of an edge case there.
Yeah, sevens was the one that it didn't want to do. It wanted to do everything else. So bit of on the island there. Okay, king, queen, offsuit. Ooh, 3-bet or flat. Or fold.
Low frequency 3-bet.
Low frequency 3-bet. Very good read. We
Ooh,
get a gut shot board.
Spicy.
Check. And let's take a peek. Check, check. Top card pairs. So not great for us, not bad for us. Do we want to bet small, bet large, or check?
I would think small bet on paired with the ace pairs. Generally, we would bet small in this spot. That would be my hunch. I'm just not sure if it's really smaller.
So again, we saw the rainbow ace come in. So there's no flush draw equity. So when there's no flush draw equity, there's going to become two parts to the hand. There's going to come straight equity, which becomes with the wheel down here and the Broadway up here. But our range really lacks a lot of the wheel cards. So I think it's going to be hard for us to play this side of the street. So I think we're going to be stuck with having to bet this side of the straight draw. Right? If we were the big blind where we were able to bet both sides, I would be betting the wheel side and I would be checking this, but I think it's going to drive this to bet a bit.
Yeah, I don't know if it bet. Oh, it does bet big.
Yeah, a little bit bigger. So 80% pot.
Yeah, I would miss this. I would be probably betting this small. I'd probably be wrong.
How do you know it's 80? Like when they do these betting sizes, that's what I always wondered. What exactly are they betting?
So when I say 80, it's an approximation here,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
right? 5.5 into 6.6.
Yeah. it
Right?
just
If
speaks
there's
for-
any mathematicians in the crowd, they can give us
Yeah.
a shout out and a quick answer with this.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always wondered
Five-
what sizes how
Yeah.
they get to these.
So
Okay,
this is 83.3333% sizing. right? And generally, the way that the wizard is set up is this is the smallest possible size, right? Here's 1/3 pot, 2.2 into 6.6.
Okay,
3.65 is about 55%. And this is about 80%. And as I've used the solver more and more over the last year, I've just gotten an intuition for what this is, right? So here's pot in the third, right? Or 1.25 pot, right? Here's pot, 2 pots, right? 3 pots, and then a ridiculous amount of pots.
perfect.
Oh, all right. We bet and get called. My instinct would be to say, okay, we made a marginal made hand. I want to check and try and get to showdown here. What about everyone else?
Works for me. I don't know. We're not getting value. We're not getting value from. We're rarely getting value from worse. And
Well, I mean, you can still get
And-
value from a jack. We're still beaten by an ace.
does a jack call?
We can
Jack
get
call a
value.
small
We
bet.
could get value from a worse queen because our kicker plays. It's the only kicker that plays.
Did we, was the turn checked?
The flop went check check, and we bet the turn, and he
Oh,
called.
okay, yeah, turn, okay, no.
Like we
Well,
still get value from queen 10 here if he calls. Jack king, jack 10. It's pretty thin. But it just decides to go for the check. And we face 55% pot bet.
Put your head down, call.
All right. Clicking the call. It is clicking the call. It is occasionally turning this into a bluff.
It's a
Because we
very
would,
indifferent call. That it is. Yeah, it's a very indifferent call.
Yeah.
Like 0.01 EV.
because we block the full house of ace, queen, or pocket queens. So it occasionally turns this into a bluff. By the way, when you try this in game, this is pretty sweet. Because it just works a lot.
Yeah, you
Fold
fold
strip
out like
aces.
yeah, I was gonna say you
Wow.
fold out. In theory, you fold out a lot of aces. I think in practice you don't. Which is maybe why I wouldn't do that against a lot of humans, but
All right, we'll do one more against the early ones, then we'll move to the later side. Queen 10, is this getting in or is this out?
Ugly.
It's a fold, I think.
94% fold. If you are playing this, you are an EV farmer and a hunter. Snowman. Okay. I couldn't
Pretty
convince you
flat
guys
this.
to 3-bet pocket 7s. How about these pocket 8s?
we'll do it for you, Peter. Well,
All right. Here we go. Living in the slivers. Let's go. Got to get our 3-bet up early in the game. Oh, we got a lovely flop. Look at this. Flush draw. 6 high board. It's paired in a card that he doesn't have a lot of his range.
I really want to bet this like 3/4 or something like that. Like I really do. I just wonder if because we have so many better like pairs that like it wants to check the worst ones like 8s and 9s.
8s and 9s need the most protection. They're the ones that are going to want to bet a lot.
I actually think it's the opposite because we're out of position.
All
But I
right,
think-
let's take a look. Okay. So
I bet half or even more.
So it's a paired board that is going to drive down our bet frequency a little bit, or our bet size a little bit. But I could get behind 6 or 12 here. And it is between 12, 18, and check. Let's
Oh,
take a look.
checking
You,
that.
I think you nailed this one, Jamie.
And I think it's because a lot of our best hands, like our Jacks Plus, want to start piling in money now because we're dominating a lot of the the Jacks through aces are dominating like the worst pairs that are just always gonna have to call. Right? When we have queens here, he's always gonna be calling that bet with like tens and jacks. And sometimes I wouldn't even be shocked if those even raise every once in a while.
So yeah, it
Maybe
starts
not.
to get pretty thin with eights, nines, and tens, and it's betting a lot with aces, kings, queens, and jacks. So you nailed that heuristic. Great eye. And then the same thing. It's just betting high cards here.
Probably
Right.
pushing equity with its big draws, with the big draws, I would assume, like the backdoor hearts and the spades.
And really looking to have a spade here when it wants to pick the overcards to bet with. Right?
Yeah, this is
Betting with all of them, but
I had this in game in a spot where I misplayed this and I bet this small and I was looking at this spot afterwards and that's the only reason I kind of remembered this. I actually looked at this exact spot, very similar board. It was like a 7-4-4 board or something like that.
nothing makes me happier than when someone in the study session says, yeah, I know this spot because I studied this spot because I screwed it up in the game.
Yeah, I did because I bet this a third and like when I was reviewing my hands, I'm like, well, why does it hate that so much? And then I realized why.
Everyone in the study session, make sure you are doing exactly what Jamie is. Tag your hands in game, pull them to the solver, screenshot them, whatever you got to do. Put them in a Word file, a text document, copy the media link, whatever you got to do. Hold the hands out where you think you might have made a mistake or you don't know a spot. Study it, and then you get to show up at a study session and look like a super genius.
Yeah, I actually what I do with mine is I'll take my hands from a session. I'll just use that upload function. If you
Mhm.
have GTO Wizard, it's really nice. You can
Yep.
use that upload function and just upload like I use my hold up HM3 like hands and I just upload them. It's actually really nice.
Okay. So we did go for a bet and the flush completed and an overcard came. How bad is that for us?
Horrible.
Not great. Are we going to double barrel or just check this?
And I think without this spade, I could go either way. I think without the spade, this is probably just a check. Actually.
Yeah, about 50-50. Continuing on, but now it starts to size down. Right? Remember, our opponent has been pruned of some of their hands. We're still doing really well here. We're still earning 6 chips per 100. Oh, half pot bet. No spade. Is this a fold or is this a call?
I would fold. I think this is a call with a spade, fold
Oh.
without type hand spot.
100% fold. And let's check if pocket eights with spade continues. I suspect the 8 of spades might not be good enough, but maybe. I think the jack of spades will probably continue.
I think this is one of those in practice, in theory, it probably calls.
All 8 of
Maybe it's
spades call.
yeah, it calls it. It has more equity than I thought. I thought it would be closer to indifferent.
Yeah, even the pocket jacks just as pairs are still strong enough,
Yeah.
right? Pocket kings.
And that's because I would guess because of the propensity of
Yeah.
well, actually, are they got him a lot of king? When we 3-bet, does he have a lot of offsuit, ace of spades, king of spades? Probably shouldn't have that much.
Nope, he only has ace king.
I was gonna say, he really doesn't have that much like
So
offsuit
yeah,
stuff at all. So
So he's
That's
going
interesting.
nuts with all of the value and the missed hearts here.
I guess he has to.
Yeah. Yeah, king, jack, king 10. And then everything down here that he continued with all these suited connectors.
Yeah, this
Pocket
is why I
twos,
think in
threes.
this is why I think in practice, like I would just fold eights pure here because you're probably just because I think most villains compositions not gonna like most villains aren't gonna find those bluffs and villains composition's gonna probably be a lot more. There's gonna probably be more offsuit ace X that like naked ace X that would turn into bluffs would just be my hunch.
I think so. All right, we'll look at part 2 against the later positions. Looking for 3 bets. Now my pocket sevens are getting itchy. Oh, the button. Let's go. Is this one that's going to call, or is this going to 3-bet like a maniac?
Bet it.
Boom,
I get-
do it.
All
I know
right.
you want
think,
to.
I think this is probably pretty close to 50-50. I think this
7,
one
8,
might
and
even
9?
call a little more. Yeah, 7, 8, 9.
9?
Right? The worst ones are going to do it a little more, but 70% 3-bet. Let's go.
I looked at this the other day, that's why I know.
Love it. Love to hear it. Okay, we got a dream flop. 3-bet pot. Let's go. How big?
6.
We could go.
Fives.
We could go big here. I think you go. You go bigger. I wouldn't even be surprised if this. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes like quarter, but I wouldn't be surprised if you could go big too. I think this is a
Alright.
spot where you're gonna have a little bit of small bets and a little bit of big bets.
Yeah,
Because you're gonna
it's-
have hands. You're gonna have hands that are gonna want to bet big for protection, like your aces and kings. Without like your aces and kings are gonna want to like bet really big, and you're also gonna have hands that are gonna want to bet small. I just don't know where a hand like this would fit into that heuristic.
our opponent's going to have lots of continues in a 3-bet pot with a queen and a 9 on board, though. King, jack, queen, 10, right? 9, king, right? 10, 10, 8. None of that is going to fold.
Yeah, that would lead me to want a bit bigger because you just get like a lot of.
Even bigger.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Just a
Yeah, I thought. I thought
blast.
I was. Yeah, I was vacillating between like 3/4 a pot and like a third and quarter, like quarter-ish.
Yeah, this is one of those ones where we're going to tell our opponent on this flop, hey, you want to play, we're going to play for all the cookies because we are coming out hammering this pot. And they call. And we pick up a marginal made hand. Marginal made hand with a strong draw.
Check.
Yeah, I think this goes a check now.
Check down. All right, I like it.
Ooh,
Your check. Look at the EV we are checking with here. I don't think there's a size of bet that he can make us fold here, though. The
Really enough.
question is, do we just stuff the turkey? This is, remember, this is a 3-bet pot.
I
I
think
think this is a call.
A call.
I think we have so much equity, we just call.
And the reason I think with this hand, I think we are gonna have spades without heart. I think ace 3 of spades might shove, but I don't know that ace 7 would. Because I think ace 7 or 8. I don't think ace 7 would. I'm just not sure. I mean, I think I could go either way, but I think this will primarily play as a call. I wouldn't be surprised if it jammed a little. But
Our
I think
7 blocks sets of 7s and blocks 2 pairs here.
no, like really doesn't like he really doesn't have he has 9-7, right? He probably doesn't have queen 7. Does he have queen 7 to a 3-bet in a button?
But
I
his
don't think
970
sevens
is
called our big
pockets.
bet on flop.
Maybe.
He might have queen 10 suited, jack 10 suited, but he could also have like king queen. We're gonna force a ton of 1 pairs, like top pairs, to fold with a jam. And if we just call, we're kind of playing face up a little bit, but like I imagine it's mixing, but I'm ready to jam. Oh, okay, well, I'm punting clearly.
It's okay. It's good. I gotta be honest. I was, as soon as I saw that 7, I thought, oh, maybe this is gonna fit one of those check raises. I gotta find out where the check raise is here. I've been working on my turn check raises for the last little while, and I've gotten my turn check raises up to 16%. Probably by being too aggressive with stuff like A7 here. And so, yeah, it does it with the worst 7s. Jack
Yeah.
7, 10-7. Right?
I think,
Are the
yeah,
jam.
Like,
yeah, I think when we have the ace in the king, the thing is that when we call here, we can sometimes, we turn 2 pairs that almost always win.
Mhm.
Or as opposed to when we have a jack or a 10, those hands are the jack, why would we? I'm thinking, yeah, I think it makes sense. I think the heuristic is just that like the worst 7s want to stuff.
And they also block the completion of the straight for our opponents,
Yeah, I mean,
right? The
yeah,
jack and the 10.
but it's only the flush draw ones, right? We're not
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, no, it's only the flush draw ones.
yeah, no, for sure. Okay.
Yeah, like 21% of our range is check jamming here. King high spades, ace high spades, but not ace 7 or king 7. Right?
Yeah, I'm surprised. I thought it would at least mix those would slide in a little bit, but maybe not.
Yeah. So it is the right idea if you're jamming your spades here, right? With the check jams, it's just not this combo with the 7. I thought it would choose the 7 because it, but just calls. The 9 pairs. Ooh. And check.
We
Oh,
win.
king jack. Good. All right. Maniac. Jack 5, a little too wide.
I think this is a fold.
She gone.
Big on. Whoa, Jack 10 off against the cutoff.
I think it's the bottom of our calling
I think
range.
this is probably just a call primarily. I could see this. Yeah, I was gonna say sliver 3-bet.
Yeah, this is
And
the
a
bottom of
sliver
the.
a fold.
So
Yeah,
It's gonna be
I know against
very-
hijack it would be like mostly a fold, but I'm a little bit surprised it slides in there. Ooh, there we go.
get your dangerous check raise out in chat button ready. Opponent chooses a polarized 66% size.
I think we slow play bottom, top 2 sometimes. I think we can smooth call here sometimes.
Yeah. I think the hints that are gonna. Well, I don't think we have very many raises on this board anyway. Would we want to raise Jack 10? I know we would check back jacks and 10s for sure. I know we'd probably want to bet a lot of ace, our more vulnerable 1-pair ace X. Or jack X, I mean, like ace jack, king jack. Would make some
Yeah.
sense to bet here.
I mean, if we raise, we're just falling out of the bluffing portion of his polarizing sizing.
That is a very good point.
True, but we are also close. Like, we also can potentially get 100 big blinds from pocket kings here.
Yeah, we are deep. That's good. That's a valid point. I think it's a call.
Think it's a call?
Yeah.
I think you can mix. I think it probably mixes actually, but I
I
think
am
if we
I'm gonna polarize against his polarization with some polarization. But we'll take a look. And
Wow.
it is right. It is calling. But if you do raise, you polarize against the polarization. Right?
Yeah, go big.
Yeah,
And so our range wants to call a lot here. And so it chooses some calls. But when we polarize, we're polarizing big. We're blocking sets of tens. We're blocking sets of jacks. We are likely best, but it's going to be hard to survive a lot of runouts. A spade is bad for us. An overcard is bad for us.
One interesting thing to look at here would be
yeah,
if our check raising frequency goes up, if he puts in a third pot bet.
yeah, he probably wouldn't do a third pot bet because on Jack 10 boards, the cutoff's primarily gonna bet medium to big. That's a pretty common heuristic. There'd probably be very little three bet it, like small.
Yeah, so he's 10% small, 20% the 2/3 size, and 10% pot, right? So kind of 10, 10, 20, and then 60% checks.
I'm actually surprised that's as much as it is usually on those two-tone Jack 10 boards. Usually like the in position player gets to go crazy, but maybe not against the small blind. Maybe
Well,
that's
it's
more against the big blind.
it's a factor of being so deep,
Yeah.
right? Like, how happy is pocket queens to bloat this pot, right? Like, it's a very dangerous board for kings, queens, and aces, which are ahead, but in like you can see the EV is pretty low, right? Like pocket aces is 7 chips here.
Yeah. I mean, I
Right.
wonder if it was like 50 bigs instead of 100, if it would be playing a different strategy.
Yeah, like if you look, king queen suited is actually higher EV than pocket aces here.
Well, yeah, that one, well, yeah, obviously king, queen of spades because it can make the
Yeah.
nuts.
Yeah,
Well, I mean,
like
the effective nuts.
yeah, and like it's going to be more resilient to putting in 100 big blinds than pocket aces is.
Yeah. Which
It's
is
just
again why those aces, kings, and queens probably want to bet.
Well,
Tend to
King Queen
want to
suited would
bet that.
have like 53% equity against pocket aces. I think.
Sorry, you broke up there a little bit, Larry. What was that?
I was gonna say, I think King Queen suited, King Queen of spades is gonna have like 53% equity against pocket aces, I think there.
Yeah, they're going to be really strong against pocket aces this spot. So we get the disaster turn, 9 of love. Good thing we just check called. So we get now a check. Love runs in. We have a little love blocker. Is this just thin value? 7?
Could we even block? Is this I think this is a pretty viable block. I mean, I would even go 3. I think this is a pretty viable block spot.
Turn checked, right? So that's when I block it. I try to.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could block this. I
Third pair, or we got two pair.
we got 2 pair. We're blocking. We're blocking some stuff here.
So what are you trying to say? He's got an ace and he's gonna call it?
So if I had an ace, I would probably look to bet this size. If I had a jack, I might look to bet this size. So we're going to want to have some hands that are able to bet this size and call a raise. And blocking the hearts with 2 pair for value. I think this is a hand that can bet this size and call a raise.
Yeah.
Or can bet this size for value and get called by an ace. So I think it's going to mix both of these. I don't think it's going to.
Yeah, because I think the reaction to this small bet is going to be something like pot, and we should be able to call pot with
I bet
Jack
3.
10 a lot.
Okay,
That's
let's
me.
take
Don't do what I do. Oh,
just a block. With the intention, I believe, because we have the jack of hearts of calling here.
Yeah, I think we call it a raise.
Okay, it just called. And we just get Jackson 5. All right, let's go. But like, see, here's a spot where if we'd have raised on the flop,
Jack,
we might have stacked this guy.
Jack 5. Cut off.
Or we might have gotten ourselves stacked on a,
Or we could have convinced ourselves to fold on the river, right? If he turns it into a bluff or something.
yeah.
All right, 10-9. Is this going to get in there or is it going to get out?
Ooh,
it's low.
ooh, I think it's close because I think our jack nines call sometimes. Maybe 10-9 does too.
It crawls in at the bottom of range. Super EV warrior finds this. Flops
I
middle
just
pair
know
with a
those. I
gutter.
just know like king nine and jack nine are sometimes in those like ranges. So that's why I was.
Pretty easy check. Face a small bet. I think it's probably just a pretty easy call here.
I'm not sure what else we do here.
We don't have a spade. We're not super enamored with putting a lot of chips in this pot. Really high frequency call, a little bit of spicy taco. We get a beautiful brick on the turn. We even block the brick double barrels.
You know, we pulls, which makes sense on the double when the second flush card comes.
Yeah, we don't have any spades. That is starting to become a good thing.
Yeah, ooh, could like we have the 10 of well, 10 of clubs, 9 of hearts. Do we ever want to? I think this is a call. I would not be shocked though when you have a pair and a gut shot. Sometimes those pairs and gut shots like to turn themselves into bluffs. Like I wouldn't be surprised if 9-8 and 10-9 sometimes bluff here or very low frequency. But I would call primarily, but just because of that,
Good
the size
instinct.
of that. Yeah, I just know that sometimes when you have pairs, when you have a pair and a gut shot, solver really likes to sometimes get after it with those hands.
And when someone raises you to 44 here, remember the button has a wide range because they bet flop that turn, right? So they still haven't folded out any junk, so they're still here with lots of junk.
Yeah.
When you raise to this size in game, like, and this is what I was saying, finding these turn check raises is pretty savage and pretty important.
Yeah, because you'll probably fold out some, you'll fold out top pair there like a lot. Well, not a lot, but
You-
you'll fold out some top pairs. You'll definitely fold out nines.
Yeah, you
Better
will put
nines.
all kinds of pressure on people and they will start folding all kinds of stuff. You also set them up for a diamond or club river jam when you do this. And yeah, 10-9, finding it. Particularly when you hold a heart. Right? That's Jack 7. 9-8 is also doing the same thing when you hold two hearts.
Yeah, this is a spot where I'll mess this up, or I'll be too aggressive in this spot, and I'll just like pair. I'll be like pair and a gut shot. Let's go.
I like it. So we did take the passive line and we get the super brick on the river. There's nothing to do but hold out our hand and say, call. Okay. We didn't have to make a tough river call. Uh-oh. Octopuses. Snowman.
I
Last.
think it mixes, but we can call mostly.
Okay. My trigger finger's getting itchy though. Oh yeah. Oh, King 9-7. Check and check. Thank goodness he checked. All right. Jack, not great for us. King, not great for us. 9-7, not bad for us. I still think I want to check my hand. Anyone else want to bet the gutter with a pair here?
I think we check.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Hold it for
because-
showdown or a 10.
Yeah, we should have plenty of kings and even some jacks in our range that want to bet. We probably don't need to bet, go down this far in our range to bet.
A 10 is pretty
The-
dangerous, actually.
Yeah, the gutter that we have is
It's a bad
super
gut shot.
dangerous because
Yeah.
our opponent has a lot of queens. So you can lead a little bit, but look how tidy it is. One chip into 97 chips left in the opponent's stack. All right, we have the ignorant end of the straight. Oh boy.
Oh, I see spots, doesn't it? God, like, I think I know what it would want to do, but
You rivered the third nuts. How can you not bet?
yeah, I mean, I guess I'm like, again, I think this comes back to we have a lot of queens here.
Mhm.
We're gonna primarily, when we bet, we're probably gonna bet small anyway. So maybe this, like, well, it just kind of sucked to just bet fold this, so. I mean,
Think
are we
this might be
betting,
a-
are we betting like, are we betting like, are we betting like 30% to fold? Are we betting 75% to fold to a raise? Because we probably have to.
So is this just a check and a bluff catch?
Wonder if this is just a check and a bluff catch. I don't feel really good about betting this. Yeah.
Good. It is just a check and a bluff catch. And there we go. We have a very easy call. And he shows us the nuts. Look at that. Look at that patience on the turn. The check, the queen 10 nuts on the turn. To try and induce from us on the river.
That's a low, I assume that's a low frequency move on his part, though. I would assume that we just got caught with we just got caught with the super net.
Caught with the super net. All right. The church certainly were 3-betting this hand, right?
Yes.
Good job. 92%. Perfect. A 4-bet pot. All right. Are we going to give 100 big blinds to pocket kings, or are we going to call and only give them 10 more bigs?
I think we donate out of position.
I think you stuff here. I think there might be some clicks, but I don't know that ace king off would ever click.
I think you,
Oh.
oh, it's all the chips, man. You're blocking aces and kings.
Yeah, I think your clicks here would I think you might have some clicks, but I would be,
Yeah,
100%.
but I would think aces. I think those clicks just might be aces and like kings.
You're,
And so
yeah,
here's-
I think you get to slow pay aces a little bit, but
You could too. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure, but if you're gonna have click backs, it's probably gonna be aces and kings, and maybe some whatever other blockery stuff it has.
now if we were in possession, we'd have some calls with ace.
Yeah, I
king.
think you would
Out
be
of
more
position.
inclined to call. You would be more inclined to do more trapping in position. Yeah.
Before we take a look at the range, ace king suited, are you clicking it back or jamming it?
Am I the solver or am I human? If I'm the human, I'm probably stuffing it in a lot of the games I play because people will call too wide.
Okay.
In these like late position versus blind situations, and you'll just get ace queen. You'll have like way more equity than you think. I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised in practice if it does what it is doing right there.
so when you got a suited king, do you like to call more because it's more playable after the flop? Is that how it works? A suited ace king is more playable than an off king? Ace
Yeah.
king?
So it's not calling, but it's going for a 5-bet, not all in because your aces don't want to go all in.
Right.
So this is part of the, like, if you think of aces as the entirety, aces, kings, and queens is the entirety of your 5-bet for value. Your ace king, your king jack, your king 10, your king 9, and your ace 7 and ace 8. All of these are your 5-bet bluffs that compose the rest of the block that make up your aces, kings, and queens that don't 5-bet all in here. Right? And ace queen off is in here a little bit too with a 5-bet bluff.
I hate that end.
Yep. So it just stuffs the turkey and uh-oh, we get called. It's aces. It's time to go home. But we were 100 big blinds deep. It wasn't really early. All right. All the time. Hope everyone is 3-betting kings at full frequency here. Oh, a king high board. It is super good. We even have the king of spades.
Check.
Jack.
It's got a mixed check and small bet, I think. It's big. Mixed check and 25%.
Yeah,
Okay.
that seems about right.
The king high board is going to be a board that our 3-bet range really wants to bet though.
Yeah, which is why why I would lean towards just betting like a quarter to quarter, maybe
Okay.
even a half, maybe even a half, but probably quarter is fine.
Yeah.
Maybe with the king of spades, I could get behind some checks here. 25% exactly like you said, but like our range really wants to bet this size. On a king high board with a flush draw there. So, I mean, when I see people who like, see this board, pause for like 3 seconds and then check, it makes me very nervous. Because yeah, it is just a huge portion of this board that you bet. And I mean, I don't find enough checks, to be honest. It is checking everything a little bit. Right? Kind of least of all aces and least of all ace kings. But yeah.
You can even do a little bit of big betting, but I think you're probably just always fine to bet this small a lot. Generally, they'd be pretty good.
He gives us the most. He gives us the Vivian special, the 10% disrespect size bet.
Did we check that?
We checked trip kings.
I thought that was a mistake though, or no?
It does it 25% of the time.
Yeah.
So it mostly small bet, but it's okay. You can check trip kings here.
Well, I think once we check trip kings, I don't think we would like check raise
No.
this. We would not check raise trips. I think we would check raise maybe ace king.
I
or
guess
maybe,
because
like,
we're deep,
king
you want
5 or
is that
king
what-
7.
You're
Right.
trying to get the money in? Is this what you're trying to do here?
The most effective way to build the pot is to check raise.
I don't get enough value. That's why I always run so deep and bleed out, because I don't get enough value. I'm starting to realize that.
Well, when you study deep stack poker, it's all about the idea. How am I going to get this player to put in half or all of their
It's
stack?
all about the idea of money. Is that what you said?
Hi, Viv.
It's
Yeah,
all
we're playing on Global Poker, that bullshit game.
it's all about expected value.
All right.
Yeah, well, that's the poker probabilities, expected value, psychology.
I mean, I just can't help myself. I'm clicking this button, but I know you guys are right. It is calling here, but I mean, I'm so itching.
Yeah, I mean,
Your top set least wanting to raise because you basically, but you still raise sometimes, as you can see, put the money in.
Please don't check back. Please don't check back. Oh, thank goodness he bet half pot. Okay. Can we check raise here?
Careful check
I think it
raise.
mixes, but we do get some clickbacks. I think.
Yeah, with the king of spades. Yeah, I think we could.
32, okay.
Give him a little click.
Do we go 32 or do we even? Are we trying
Well,
to
this is
set
a,
up?
this is
Or
an
do we
SPR
even go
margin,
bigger
right?
because we're trying to
So-
set up? Does going bigger allow us to set up the does that set us up for a pod size shove or a geo shove? Or do
Oh,
we
yeah,
go
like
bigger?
32 would do that, wouldn't it?
If we
32?
go 32, if we put 32, he puts 32 in and there's 27 in here, right? That's gonna be like 90 bigs in here.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, that seems fine.
It's gonna be a half pot river,
Yeah,
mostly just to call, a little bit of a slightly bigger click. So we're gonna trust on our opponent to find some jams here and pay us off. I mean, they could have a flush. Let's hope. King 10. Gonna be hard for them to get their 3 streets, but either way, we managed to get half of their stack.
And
So
we didn't lose a lot by not. If we check turn, we don't lose a ton because like, let's say we check jam or even check 32, like this king,
Mhm.
this king can't ever find a fold on the turn.
let's take a
I'm
peek.
wondering,
What,
did
what
we lose
happens
some
if we
value?
played that hand who instead of checking, we bet it? Would it play out a lot different on here?
Let's
I-
take a look at our turn, right, where we could have check raised. So on the turn, he bets 13. We had a raise size in our small blind range of 44. So it's not very prevalent, only 5%. But when we take this line, small blind with king 10 off,
actually starts to pile a little bit, doesn't it?
yeah, his ones that don't have a spade start folding, occasionally calling.
Yeah, we
If
have the
he has a
king of
spade, he
spades.
stuffed.
Yeah, because we have the king of spades, so that's
Yeah.
that's kind of why that makes that a rough check raise is because because you're blocking one of the hands you kind of want him to have that could like continue or stuff.
Yeah, against our check raise, he does call almost half his range.
But he will start to fold some kings.
Yeah.
That generally when they don't have any additional equity, like they don't have when they don't have like any like backdoor like flush equity or anything.
So what was it on the river? Like
9 of diamonds. Is it 9 of diamonds?
yeah, 9 of diamonds. So we check. Our opponent checks half his range too. So I don't know that we're gonna get more because he's just gonna shut down half his range here. But when we do get it, we get all the chips. So,
Because he will stuff sevens, he will stuff fives, he'll stuff.
yeah, he's gonna
checks when he
stuff
has-
flushes and then he's gonna stuff bluffs.
Yeah, but he'll also stuff like but he'll also have like he also has all the worst sets.
Yeah, he has all the worst sets. Jacks, 9s, 5s, and 3s, and they all go for it.
Yeah.
Right. So it's fine to just call here. So all right, we'll do one more. Jacks. Oh, this is a good one. How frequently are you 3-betting jacks here?
I think this is pure against Milton.
You're Adam West, like 96% of the time here. 100% of the time. Ooh, 10-7-3.
Let's go.
I think we might get the size up for protection on my hand. So I think we can go half.
A lot of half. I am in camp half. It's a rainbow board. Half
If I could
and
go,
3/4.
I was gonna say like you go even like pot.
Ooh, yes, spicy full pot.
blessing
Because
you.
because
Yeah,
again,
very good.
our over pairs really want protection. They always want protection. Like especially like jacks and queens.
Oh, and it's a 3-bet pot too, so yeah. Now we just get a fold from king jack.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Well, thanks for coming by and checking out the study session today. If you're on YouTube, by all means, check us out at Patreon PS for you. We also have our YouTube channel. You can just look us up at Slippery Rock 99, and our poker for you, poker study for you, poker training community. We have a Discord where we have coaches available, lots of study materials. All our recorded sessions are linked there. So yeah, by all means, pop in, check out a study session, and enjoy. Keep working and improving your game, and we'll see you guys next week.
Thanks for the session, Peter. Much appreciated, sir.
Thank you. Have a good day. I
Thank-
wasn't really in here.